All right, so like imagine waking up every day just like totally stoked to tackle anything.
Yeah.
That's the idea behind Ikigai, and that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
Longevity, happiness, purpose, all rolled into one. It's
Mm.
like unlocking the secrets to a life that's not just long, but deeply fulfilling.
I like that.
And for this deep dive, we're
Huh.
taking cues from the folks who seem to have it figured out,
Oh,
the
yeah.
people of Okinawa, Japan.
You're spot on.
Oh,
It's like they've cracked some ancient code for living well.
right.
We've got this book here
Yeah.
that breaks down Ikigai, dives into anti-aging practices, and even touches on powerful philosophies like Viktor Frankl's logotherapy.
Yeah.
So let's unpack this whole Ikigai thing.
Right.
What makes it more than just a buzzword?
Okay, so it's more than just finding a job you don't hate,
Yeah.
right? We're talking about a deeper sense of purpose.
Exactly. Ikigai isn't just about your career.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot where your passions, skills, what the world needs,
Right.
and yes, even what you can get paid for,
Okay.
all intersect.
I like that.
It's like this internal compass guiding you towards a life that feels truly aligned.
So it's like this Venn diagram of awesome, and right in the middle is your Ikigai.
And what's really cool is the book draws a parallel between Ikigai and Viktor Frankl's logotherapy.
Okay.
Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the horrors of Auschwitz,
Right.
believed that finding meaning in life was essential to overcoming even the toughest challenges.
Yeah.
Both Ikigai and logotherapy push us to look beyond just existing and find that deeper why that fuels our actions.
Yeah, that's heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But also super inspiring.
Right.
And speaking of inspiration, let's talk about those blue zones.
Yes.
Those pockets around the world where people seem to live forever.
Right. There are 5 blue zones identified.
Okay.
Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia in Italy, Loma Linda in California, Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica,
Wow.
and Ikaria in Greece.
Okay.
Each zone has its own distinct culture and lifestyle.
Right.
But they all share some interesting commonalities.
Mhm.
Think strong community ties,
Yeah.
diets rich in plants and active lifestyle,
Okay.
and a sense of purpose.
Okay, but for this deep dive, we're zeroing in on Okinawa,
All right.
specifically the village of Ogimi.
Okay.
They would call it the village of longevity,
They do.
so they must be doing something right.
They really do seem to have tapped into something special.
Yeah.
One key principle in Okinawan culture is Ishiriba Chode,
Okay.
which beautifully translates to treat everyone like a brother.
I like that.
It emphasizes deep connection and community.
Yeah.
And the book suggests that this strong social fabric plays a huge role in their longevity.
So that's like having this built-in support system,
Mm-hmm.
a network of people who've got your back no matter what.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense.
it does.
But I'm sure their diet plays a role too,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
Do they have some secret superfood we need to know about?
Well, there's no magic potion,
Okay.
but they do have some interesting practices. One is harahachibu,
Okay.
eating until you're about 80% full.
Oh, so it's not about deprivation.
No.
It's about mindful eating and recognizing your body's signals of satiety.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's like hitting pause before you hit that overly stuffed feeling.
You got it.
That sounds way more enjoyable than some crazy restrictive diet.
It is.
Yeah.
It's about tuning into your body's cues. And get this, even the way food is presented plays a role.
What?
The Okinawans tend to eat from smaller plates with a wide variety of colorful dishes,
Okay.
which tricks your brain into feeling more satisfied with less food.
Wait, so smaller plates, more variety.
Yeah.
I can totally get behind that.
Right.
What else?
Okinawa also emphasizes the importance of moai,
Moe.
which are essentially informal social support groups.
Okay.
Think book clubs, gardening buddies, or even just groups of friends who regularly get together.
Right.
These moai provide a sense of belonging and purpose,
Yeah.
which, as we discussed, is a key ingredient in the Ikigai recipe.
So it's like having your own built-in cheer squad,
Mm-hmm.
pushing you to be your best self.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, is it all about external factors like diet and community? Or does what's going on in our heads impact longevity too?
That's a great question, and the answer is a resounding yes.
Okay.
Keeping your mind active and engaged is just as important as physical activity.
Right.
The book cites the work of neuroscientist Shlomo Bresnitz,
Okay.
who argues that our brains crave novelty and challenge.
Okay.
He suggests that constantly learning new things, having stimulating conversations, and even just playing brain games can help keep our minds sharp and youthful.
So basically, use it or lose it applies to our brains as much as our body.
Exactly.
Makes sense. But what about stress?
Yes.
We all know that chronic stress can take a toll on our health, right?
Absolutely. In fact, a University of California study found that chronic stress can actually shorten telomeres,
Telomeres.
which are those protective caps on our chromosomes that are linked to aging. Think of telomeres like the plastic tips on shoelaces.
Okay.
They prevent the laces from fraying.
Right.
The shorter your telomeres become, the more susceptible your cells are to damage and aging.
Okay, so stress is basically fraying our DNA.
You could say that.
Got a time to book that meditation retreat.
Right. Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I remember reading that a little stress can actually be good for you.
You're remembering correctly. The book references Dr. Howard S. Friedman's research,
Okay.
which suggests that small amounts of stress can be beneficial.
Okay.
It's like a hormetic stressor.
Okay.
A little bit challenges your system and makes it stronger. Think of it like lifting weights. You need some resistance to build muscle.
So a little stress can keep us on our toes and help us build resilience.
Exactly.
It's all about finding that sweet spot, right?
It is.
Okay, so we've got mental and social well-being covered.
Huh?
But what about the physical side of things?
Yeah.
What other anti-aging wisdom did you glean from the book?
Well, you're not going to like this one.
Okay. But sitting for long periods is a big no-no.
I knew it.
Yeah.
My desk job is slowly killing me.
Oh.
But seriously, is there anything we can do to counter the effects of our modern, largely sedentary lifestyles?
Definitely. Regular exercise, even just walking, can make a huge difference.
Okay.
And the book mentions this fascinating tidbit.
Okay.
Our bodies produce a youth-preserving hormone called melatonin,
Okay.
but its production starts to decline after age 30.
Wait, so we have this built-in fount of youth and it starts fading before we even hit middle age?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's brutal. Is there anything we can do to boost melatonin production?
There are things we can do.
Okay.
A balanced diet, moderate sun exposure, and getting enough sleep all help.
Okay.
And avoiding things that disrupt sleep, like caffeine and alcohol, is key.
Okay. So taking care of ourselves is kind of a no-brainer.
Right.
But there's got to be more to longevity than just eating right and exercising, right?
Sure.
What about our mental and emotional state? You're right. There's definitely a mental and emotional component to longevity.
Yeah.
A Yeshiva University study found that people who live the longest tend to have a positive attitude
Yeah.
and are good at managing their emotions. They also mention the Stoic philosophy,
Right.
which emphasizes accepting what you can't control,
Yeah.
which can do wonders for managing stress.
Interesting. So it's not about being happy-go-lucky all the time,
Right.
but about facing challenges with resilience and a positive mindset.
Exactly.
And the book highlights some fascinating stories of centenarians and supercentenarians who seem to embody this principle.
They do. They highlight individuals like Alexander Imich,
Okay.
who lived to be 111
Wow.
and believed that how you live is just as important as your genes.
Interesting.
He emphasized the importance of continuous learning, staying active, and maintaining a positive outlook.
So nature and nurture both play a role in longevity.
Mm-hmm.
What's fascinating to me is how everything seems connected.
Yeah.
Diet, movement, social connections, mindset. It's like a holistic approach to living well.
You're absolutely right. It's not just about isolated practices. It's about how all these pieces fit together to create a life that's rich in meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
And that's where these philosophies like logotherapy and morita therapy come in,
Okay.
helping us uncover our own unique Ikigai, that driving force that keeps us moving forward.
All right, well, let's dive deeper into those next.
Oh, okay.
Stick with us, folks, because things are about to get even more interesting.
Yeah, they are.
All right, so we established that finding our Ikigai
Mm-hmm.
is key to this whole longevity and happiness thing.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that?
Right.
Where do we even begin?
Yeah.
We touched on logotherapy earlier, the idea of finding meaning to overcome challenges.
Right.
The book dives deeper into this.
It does. Logotherapy, developed by Viktor Frankl,
Right.
is all about identifying and pursuing your unique purpose in life. Frankl believed that humans are driven by a will to meaning, and that when this need is unmet, it can lead to feelings of emptiness and despair.
That makes total sense. We all crave that feeling of purpose,
Yeah.
of knowing why we're here and what we're meant to do.
Mm-hmm.
But Frankl's theories are rooted in some pretty intense personal experiences, right?
They are.
I mean, he was a prisoner in Auschwitz during World War II.
Exactly. His time in the concentration camps profoundly shaped his understanding of the human spirit.
Yeah.
He witnessed firsthand how those who clung to a sense of meaning, even in the face of unimaginable suffering,
Right.
were more likely to survive.
Wow. That's incredibly powerful.
It is.
It speaks to the importance of finding something to live for, even when things feel utterly hopeless. The book actually shares some compelling case studies that illustrate how logotherapy can help people discover their purpose.
It does.
One that really stood out to me
Yeah.
involved this American diplomat
Okay.
who was deeply unhappy in his career.
Mm-hmm.
He felt conflicted about his country's policies and was struggling to find fulfillment in his work.
Right.
Through logotherapy,
Mhm.
he realized that he was in the wrong profession entirely.
Wow.
His Ikigai wasn't in diplomacy. It was in something completely different. He needed a radical change to align with his true purpose.
So it's not just about finding meaning within your current circumstances.
Right.
It's about being willing to make big changes, to pursue what truly resonates with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about taking an honest look at your life
Yeah.
and asking yourself, does this align with my values?
Right.
Does this bring me joy and fulfillment?
Mm.
Does this contribute to something larger than myself?
Those are some big questions.
Yeah.
And speaking of big questions,
Yeah.
the book also introduces this other fascinating therapy called Morita therapy,
Okay.
which was developed in Japan.
Right.
I know it's related to Zen Buddhism. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. Morita therapy, developed by Shoma Morita,
Okay.
is deeply rooted in Zen principles.
Yeah.
It focuses on accepting your feelings.
Even the negative ones, rather than trying to eliminate them.
That's interesting. It seems like a lot of Western therapies focus on fixing negative emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Morita therapy takes a totally different approach.
Right. Morita therapy recognizes that emotions are fleeting
Okay.
and that trying to control them is often futile.
Right.
Instead, it encourages you to observe your feelings without judgment
Okay.
and to shift your focus to what you can control, your actions and behaviors.
So it's more about taking action even when you're feeling anxious or afraid,
Right.
rather than getting stuck in a cycle of analysis and rumination.
There's a great fable that Morita used to illustrate this concept.
Hmm.
Imagine a donkey tied to a post.
Okay.
The more it struggles to break free,
Right.
the more entangled it becomes.
Yeah.
It's the same with our minds.
Okay.
The more we fight against our negative emotions, the more trapped we become.
That's a brilliant analogy.
I like that one.
So how does Morita therapy actually work?
Yeah.
What are the steps involved?
Well, it typically involves 4 distinct phases.
Yeah.
The first phase is a period of rest and isolation, where you simply observe your thoughts and feelings without engaging with them.
Okay.
This helps you develop a sense of detachment and perspective.
It's like giving your mind a break from all the noise and chatter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you gradually re-engage with the world,
Okay.
starting with light activities and eventually progressing to more challenging tasks.
Right.
Throughout this process, the focus is on accepting your emotions,
Yeah.
focusing on the present moment,
Right.
and taking action regardless of how you feel.
And ultimately, the goal of this whole process is to help you discover and live in alignment with your Ikigai.
Exactly. Both logotherapy and Morita therapy are paths towards self-discovery and purpose.
Right.
They help us understand our values,
Well,
connect with our deepest motivations, and live a life that feels authentic and meaningful.
okay. So we've got these powerful therapies that can help us tap into our purpose, but there's got to be more to it than just that, right? What about those moments when you're completely absorbed in an activity?
Right.
When time just seems to melt away?
You're talking about flow.
Yes, exactly.
That's another key concept that the book explores.
Right.
It's that state of total immersion in an activity where you're so engaged that you lose track of time and self-consciousness.
It's like being in the zone where everything just clicks and you're performing at your peak.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty amazing feeling.
It is.
And I remember reading that there's a whole science behind flow, right?
The book connects this idea of flow to the work of psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi,
Okay.
who's considered the leading researcher in this field.
Hmm.
He calls it optimal experience, that feeling of being fully present and energized by what you're doing.
Right.
It's not just about pleasure, it's about feeling challenged and stretching your abilities.
So it's not about vegging out on the couch. It's about pursuing activities that push you outside your comfort zone
Exactly.
and make you feel truly alive.
And the book outlines 7 specific conditions for achieving flow. 7. Based on the research of Owen Schaefer,
Okay.
you need to know what to do,
Okay.
know how to do it, and know how well you're doing.
Got it.
If navigation is involved, you need to know where to go.
Okay.
You need to perceive significant challenges and perceive significant skills.
Okay.
And finally, you need to be free from distractions.
Okay. That's a lot to keep in mind.
It is.
But it makes sense. It's like setting the stage for optimal performance.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we actually put this into practice?
Right.
How do we create those conditions for flow in our own lives?
Well, the book offers some really practical strategies.
Okay.
First, you need to choose a task that's challenging but not overwhelming.
Right.
Something that stretches your abilities but doesn't make you feel totally incompetent.
Yeah.
It's like finding that Goldilocks zone of challenge, not too easy, not too hard, but just right.
So it's about being honest with yourself about your current skill level
Mm-hmm.
and choosing tasks that are slightly beyond your comfort zone.
Exactly. And then you need to set clear objectives for yourself.
Okay.
What do you want to achieve with this task?
Right.
What are your goals? Having a sense of direction is crucial for achieving flow.
Okay, so challenge and direction are key.
Uh-huh.
What else?
The next step is crucial: eliminate distractions.
Oh, yeah, I was waiting for that one.
This means putting away your phone, shutting off notifications, and creating an environment that supports focus and concentration.
That's easier said than done in today's world of constant digital distractions.
It is.
But I can see how it would be essential for getting into that flow state.
It definitely takes effort, but the rewards are worth it.
Yeah.
When you achieve flow, you're more productive, more creative, and more fulfilled.
And I feel like the book has some really great examples of flow, specifically with Japan.
Yes, specifically with Takumi.
Katumi, remind me who they are again?
Takumi are master artisans, experts in a particular craft who dedicate their lives to honing their skills and achieving perfection in their work. Think swordsmiths, potters, carpenters, people who have dedicated years, even decades, to mastering their chosen craft.
So they're like the ultimate embodiment of flow, totally immersed in their work, finding joy and purpose in every detail.
You could say that they found their Ikigai in their craft, and they achieve flow through their meticulous attention to detail and their relentless pursuit of excellence.
And you know who else was fascinated by Japanese Takumi? Steve Jobs.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea. Tell me more about that.
Jobs was captivated by the simplicity and quality of Japanese craftsmanship.
Okay.
He was particularly drawn to the work of a porcelain artist named Yukio Shakunaga.
Okay.
Jobs admired Shakunaga's dedication to his craft and the sophisticated simplicity of his work.
That's so interesting. It makes sense that someone like Jobs, who was obsessed with design and innovation, would be drawn to the artistry of the Takumi.
Right.
And speaking of art, the book also discusses flow in the context of Japanese cuisine, right?
Yes, they highlight the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi. As a prime example,
Okay.
Jiro Ono, the sushi master featured in the film,
Right.
has spent his entire life perfecting his craft.
Wow.
He and his son find flow in the meticulous preparation of each piece of sushi, treating it as an art form.
It's incredible how they've elevated something as seemingly simple as making sushi to this level of artistry and devotion.
It is.
And, you know, it makes me think of Hayao Miyazaki,
Oh, yeah.
the director of Studio Ghibli.
Right.
He's known for his incredible attention to detail and his immersive approach to filmmaking.
He is.
I bet he experiences flow, too.
I'm sure he does. Miyazaki is another great example of someone who has found their Ikigai and achieves flow through their work.
Right.
He's deeply passionate about his art, and it shows in every frame of his films.
Okay, so we've got flow in crafting, cooking, filmmaking. It seems like it can be found in pretty much any activity,
Right.
as long as there's passion and dedication involved.
As long as there's that challenge and skill balance.
Right, but I'm curious, what about those everyday tasks that we all have to do,
Yeah.
like washing the dishes or folding laundry?
Right.
Is it possible to find flow in those too?
Absolutely. It might seem surprising, but even mundane tasks can become opportunities for flow.
Really?
Csikszentmihalyi calls this microflow.
Microflow.
It's about finding ways to engage with those everyday tasks in a way that makes them more enjoyable and meaningful.
Like finding a rhythm in the way you chop vegetables or fold laundry.
Exactly. It's about shifting your perspective and finding ways to be fully present in the moment,
Right.
even when you're doing something that might seem tedious.
Yeah.
The book even mentions Bill Gates as an example.
Bill Gates.
He finds flow in washing the dishes every night.
Really?
It helps him relax and clear his mind.
Well, if Bill Gates can find flow in doing the dishes,
Right.
there's hope for the rest of us.
There you go.
But seriously, I love this idea of microflow. It's a reminder that we don't have to wait for grand adventures to experience flow. It's available to us right here, right now, in the everyday moments of our lives.
Yeah.
So we've got logotherapy, morita therapy, and flow, all these fascinating concepts that can help us discover and live in alignment with our Ikigai.
Right.
But I'm curious, is there anything else we can do to make it easier to access that flow state?
That's a great question. The book suggests that meditation can be incredibly helpful for cultivating flow.
Okay.
Meditation helps calm the mind, focus your attention, and train you to be more present,
Right.
all of which are conducive to achieving flow.
Right. And speaking of being present,
Yeah,
the book also talks about the importance of rituals in promoting flow.
it does.
Interesting. How do rituals tie into flow?
Rituals provide structure and clear objectives,
Okay.
which can make it easier to achieve flow.
Hmm.
Think about the steps involved in a traditional tea ceremony
Right.
or a martial arts practice.
Okay.
Those rituals help you focus your attention and be fully present in the experience.
So it's like having a set of guidelines that help you get into the zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see how that structure could be especially helpful for those everyday tasks we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Instead of approaching them with dread, you could create a little ritual around them,
Yeah,
which might make them more enjoyable and even flow-inducing.
exactly. It's all about finding ways to make those everyday moments more meaningful.
Right.
And the more you practice flow, the closer you'll get to discovering and living in alignment with your Ikigai.
Right.
Like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes.
This is all so fascinating. It's giving me a whole new perspective on how to approach work leisure
Yeah.
and even those mundane chores.
Uh-huh.
But I know the book doesn't just explore these concepts theoretically.
No, it doesn't.
It also shares insights from real people who have lived long and fulfilling lives.
It does.
People who seem to have mastered the art of Ikigai.
Yes, and their stories are incredibly inspiring.
Okay, well, let's hear what those longevity masters have to say.
Right.
What wisdom can we glean from their experiences?
So the book dives into the lives of these incredible individuals who've lived well beyond 100 years.
Yeah.
It profiles 5 people in particular: Maria Capovilla, Jan Kalment, Walter Bruning, Alexander Emick, and Mitsuo Aida.
Okay.
Each one has a unique story,
Right.
but some fascinating themes emerge when you look at their lives as a whole.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Right.
What were some of the common threads that seemed to run through their lives?
Well, one thing that stood out was their incredible activity levels.
Okay.
Maria Capovilla, who lived to be 116,
Wow.
was known for her energetic dancing even in her later years.
Oh, wow.
And Jean Kalment, who holds the record for the longest confirmed lifespan at 122 years,
122.
rode her bicycle until she was 110. Talk about staying young at heart.
Wow. They definitely didn't let age define their limits.
It seems like movement and a zest for life were key ingredients in their longevity recipe.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it wasn't just physical activity.
Okay.
They also stayed mentally and socially engaged.
Okay.
Walter Bruning, who lived to be 114.
Worked a 50-year career on the railroad and continued to exercise daily even after retirement. He also emphasized the importance of lifelong learning and staying connected with others.
So it's about finding activities that bring you joy and staying engaged with the world around you.
Exactly. And speaking of finding joy, the book highlights the inspiring story of Mitsuo Aida, a renowned Japanese calligrapher and haiku poet.
Okay.
He dedicated his life to his art, finding purpose and beauty in every brushstroke and syllable.
It's amazing how art can nourish the soul and contribute to a long and fulfilling life. It reminds me of something we talked about earlier, finding your Ikigai, that thing that gets you out of bed in the morning with a sense of purpose. It seems like these centenarians had that figured out.
They definitely did, and it wasn't just about grand passions either.
Right.
The book also delves into the daily habits and practices of the Okinawan centenarians,
Okay.
and there are some interesting takeaways there too.
Right.
Remember hara hachiba, the practice of eating until you're 80% full?
Right. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
It's about mindful eating and tuning into your body's signals of fullness.
Exactly. And their diet is largely plant-based,
Okay.
with a focus on fresh vegetables, tofu, and seafood.
Right.
It's a balanced and nutritious way of eating that seems to support their longevity.
So no magic superfoods, just a sensible and sustainable approach to eating.
Yeah.
What about exercise? Are we talking intense workouts, or is it more about gentle movement?
They tend to favor gentle movements and practices like yoga tai chi and qigong.
Yeah.
These practices emphasize flexibility, balance, and the mind-body connection.
Those practices seem so much more accessible and sustainable, especially as we age. It's not about pushing yourself to the limit.
Right.
It's about moving your body in a way that feels good and nourishing.
Exactly. And they have this really fun practice called radio taiso,
Radio Taiso.
which is essentially a national morning warm-up routine.
Okay.
People gather in parks, schools, even workplaces,
Wow.
and do a series of simple stretches and movements set to music.
It sounds like a great way to start the day,
Yeah.
and it incorporates that social element that we keep coming back to.
Right. It's about moving your body, connecting with others, and having fun. And, those moai we discussed earlier, those informal social support groups,
Right.
play a huge role in the lives of the Okinawan centenarians.
Yeah.
They provide a sense of belonging, purpose, and mutual support that's incredibly valuable.
It's like having a built-in network of people who are there to celebrate your wins, offer support during tough times, and just make life more enjoyable overall.
Yeah.
It seems like those social connections are crucial for well-being at any age.
Absolutely. And beyond those external factors, the book also emphasizes the importance of cultivating inner resilience, that ability to bounce back from setbacks and keep moving forward.
Right. That's a valuable skill for everyone, not just those striving for longevity. Life throws curveballs at all of us, so
Yeah.
having that inner strength to navigate challenges is essential.
Exactly. And the book draws some interesting connections between resilience and philosophies like Buddhism and Stoicism.
Oh, tell me more about that. I'm always fascinated by those ancient wisdom traditions.
Well, both Buddhism and Stoicism emphasize the importance of accepting what you can't control,
Right.
focusing on the present moment,
Yeah.
and training your mind to not be overwhelmed by negative emotions.
That.
They offer practical tools for cultivating inner peace and navigating life's ups and downs with grace and equanimity.
So it's about developing a mindset that helps you weather the storms of life without getting swept away.
You got it. And the book introduces this wonderful Japanese proverb, Nanakorobi ya oki, which means fall 7 times, stand up 8.
I love that.
It beautifully captures the spirit of resilience, the ability to keep getting back up no matter how many times you fall.
It's a reminder that setbacks are inevitable,
Yeah.
but it's our ability to learn from them and keep going that ultimately defines us. And speaking of overcoming challenges, the book introduces this really intriguing concept called anti-fragility, developed by Nassim Nicholas Taleb.
Yes. Anti-fragility is the idea that some things don't just withstand stress and chaos, they actually benefit from it.
Wait, so it's not just about resilience. It's about actually growing stronger through challenges.
Exactly. Taleb uses the example of the mythical Hydra.
Okay.
You cut off one head and 2 more grow back.
Right.
It becomes stronger with every wound. He argues that we can cultivate this anti-fragility in our own lives
Okay.
by embracing uncertainty, taking calculated risks, and eliminating things that make us vulnerable.
It's powerful concepts like turning obstacles into opportunities for growth and evolution.
Right. And he offers some practical steps for cultivating anti-fragility,
Oh.
like creating multiple options in your career and finances,
Right.
taking small risks to test your limits, and letting go of things that make you fragile.
So it's about building a life that's adaptable and resilient, a life that can not only withstand change, but actually thrive in the face of it. It's like building a foundation that's strong enough to weather any storm.
Exactly. And it all circles back to this idea of Ikigai, having that clear sense of purpose, that driving force within you can give you the strength and resilience to navigate whatever challenges life throws your way. It's about finding that thing that makes life worth living and pursuing it with passion and determination.
This whole deep dive has been so insightful. It's given me so much to think about in terms of how I want to live my life,
Right.
what I want to prioritize, and how I can cultivate more joy and purpose in my everyday experiences.
Me too. It's a reminder that longevity isn't just about luck or genetics. It's about making choices that support our physical, mental, and social well-being. It's about cultivating a mindset of resilience and purpose. It's about finding our Ikigai and letting it guide our journey.
Beautifully said. And you know what's so inspiring is that it's never too late to start making those choices no matter where you are in life.
Yeah.
You can start incorporating these principles and practices into your daily routine.
Yeah.
You can start cultivating your own personal Ikigai.
Absolutely. It's a lifelong journey of discovery and growth.
So for our listeners out there, we encourage you to take some time to reflect on your own lives. What brings you joy? What are you passionate about? What are your unique strengths and talents? What impact do you want to make on the world? These are big questions, but they're worth exploring. Find your Ikigai and let it be your compass. And on that note, we'll leave you with a final thought to ponder. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you pursue with your life? Think about it until next time. Keep diving deep.